This was just the start of what was to come with me and Tori's friendship. Hi guys, so today I wanted to come at you guys with a start of a new part of my little story times. Y'all have met Armando, y'all have met a whole lot of people, okay? But today we are going to start on all the story times of me and Tori. So if you don't know who Tori is, she was actually one of my first YouTube videos to talk about. She was my, toxic ex-best friend. So lately I've been watching a whole lot of Life with Simone and Oh That's Tea. And they've been talking about their toxic best friends. So I want to talk about my toxic best friend. So I'm definitely copying the vibe, okay? So apparently we all just have that one friend that like you really don't know why you're friends with them, like, but they're kind of cool sometimes, but then they put you in the most compromising situations where it's just like, what are we doing? Like, honestly, what are we doing? So she honestly was the definition of that TikTok.
He has elaborate bullshit ideas every 10 seconds. Hey Teddy, let's doorbell ding dong ditch. You 36.
Because when I tell you, like, this girl, like, even her mom would get so angry at her because it was like, this girl, you would give her an inch and she would take a cross-country road trip with it, okay? Like, and it wasn't just with her mother, it was with me too. Like, we would start off with certain plans, and some way, somehow, they turn into this whole elaborate scheme. And I'm just like, I thought we were just gonna watch movies. Why are we here, So there are many stories, but I'm gonna go in with this one because I just think it's the funniest. Like, why we would do this, I don't know. Okay, so let's take it all the way back. Me and her were actually like, we did not like each other well. We didn't really weren't cool with each other when we first met. It wasn't until our junior year summer going into senior year that we started getting really, really close and really, really cool. So summer days, okay? Summer days. I was probably my most reckless and my most everything my summer going into senior year because I was just, I don't know. I was lost. I was a lost soul. I was. So this was when me and Armando were in a very toxic state. So there were a lot of times that like I just didn't want to deal with Armando, so I would hang out with Tori. Mind you, Tori and Armando, they both hated each other. Like, it was a mutual hate. I had to get into this story time where she threatened him. But it was a mutual hate amongst each other. So anytime like I had a problem with Armando, here comes Tori ready to save the day. She's like, oh, don't worry about him. Like, we got all these other dudes that we could talk to, da-da-da-da, like whatever. So a lot of times, a lot of people did not like her. They didn't like Tori, but they didn't have a problem with me. However, because of the situations that Tori would get me in, people would assume that it was me. And I'm like, no. It is her. So let's get into this whole excursion. So this was a time that Tori was getting in with the hood boys of our city. And when I say hood, I mean that in the most loose way possible. Loose. Okay, at this point it's like the boys that use the hood aesthetic because there was nothing coming behind these boys. Like, there was so suburban, but neither here nor there. That's who she was getting into. So a lot of times she would always tell me like, oh, we should go hang out with them. We should go hang out with them. So I'm just like, okay, like I don't really have a reason to hang out with them because I have a boyfriend. So, I'm not trying to be thotting and bopping with these little boys, but she was always into it. Like, she really wanted to be around them all the time. So there was one day that me and her were chilling at her house And she told me to come over in a way of like, oh, like, let's do each other's hair and let's, you know, get cute. Let's take pictures kind of thing. But it wasn't just to get cute and take pictures. So we got cute. We looked, you know, cute or whatever. And I go to her house and she was like, oh, let's go. We're actually going to go get some food. And I was like, okay, cool. So then we're going to call this dude. We're going to name this dude Chris, okay? So she was like, Chris is going to come get us to get food. And I'm just like, why does Chris have to come get us? Like, I had my own car. I had my own means of transportation. And I had my own money. So I'm just like, why does Chris have to come get us to get food? Like, well, I can just take us. And she's like, no, he's going to pay for it. And in my head, I'm just like, girl, I don't need him to, like, I don't know this man. I don't need him to come pay for my food. And I don't need him to drive. Like, I can do it myself. And she's like, oh, Samantha, like, stop. Like, it's going to be fun. Like, I know him. He's really cool. I think you'd like him. So I'm just like, whatever. Once again, against my better judgment, I was like, whatever. This boy is going to come pick us up. He's going to take us to go get food. Whatever. So this boy Chris pulls up, and you know, it's the typical all blacked out Altima banging music, okay? And it's him and two other guys. So I'm just like, when we walk up to the car, I'm like, Tori, you did not say that he was coming with two other guys. And she was like, oh no, it's cool. Like, I know them. Like, don't even worry about it. It's gonna be fun. So I'm just like, oh my God, whatever. So we get in the back seat and they take us to Zaxbys. So we're just chilling in the Zaxbys parking lot. We ordered our food and then they like make sure everything was straight. So we went through the drive-thru. They go into the parking lot. They start making sure that the food is good and then we start pulling off. So I'm just like, oh, like I'm thinking we're going back to her house. No. After they pull off, they start going into the opposite direction. So I looked to Tori and I was like, where are we going? And she's like, oh, we're just going to go chill at his house because they're going to, you know. And I'm just like, I did not want to, like, I'm a very, very reserved person, especially like when it comes to dealing with guys, because like, guys just scare me. They give me the creeps. And at the time too, like, I'm trying to be loyal to my man. What do I look like hanging around with 3 other guys going to their house when I have a whole boyfriend? Even though I should have, like, Armando should have been the least of my concerns, like, to be honest. So I'm just like, oh my God, like, that's not what you said we were going to do. And she's over here just like, oh my God, don't worry about it. Like, it's fine. Like, we're just going to go to their house. Like, we're just going to chill for a little bit. They're going to us out and like, that's it. And so I'm just like, whatever. So we go to these people's houses. Mind you, it's like a regular house. We walk in and there's no furniture. Like, typical, like, no furniture, no decor. I mean, I get it. Like, these were guys, but at the same time, it's like, y'all don't have a couch. Y'all don't have a chair to sit in. Like, what are we doing? So we walk in and they take us to the kitchen. It's just like ashes, guts, and all that stuff like everywhere. Bottles, cups, all that, like plastic cups and bottles everywhere. And so they're like, oh, y'all could just like make yourself at home. And I'm just like, this house is not a home. Like, what do you mean? So I'm just over here like, okay. And so Tori, like, she low-key, like, popped off on me because she was like, why are you acting bougie? Like, stop. Like, they're not going to want to hang out with you, like, if you're going to keep acting like that. And in my head, I'm just like, who said, like, I don't care if y'all want to hang out with me. Like, I don't want to hang out here. Like, I don't want to hang out with you. Like, what? So, basically, we're just sitting at this house with no furniture, and I'm trying to eat my Zaxbys. Like, they don't have no napkins, no paper towels, no nothing, okay? So we're just sitting here and I'm trying to eat my Zaxbys. They're like rolling up or whatever. And I'm just sitting here like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to leave. Like, I have no business being here. What am I doing? Like, if my mom finds out I'm here, she's going to die and kill me too. Like, so they're like blasting music. And I just think it's so funny because like, I don't know, like, guys really think, I find it funny that, like, certain guys don't want to hang around, like, other guys. Like, they think things are so lame and so, like, not cool, right? Like, they're too cool for school and they'll make fun of somebody who's like really smart or plays chess or who's, you know, really into engineering and stuff. But they will literally sit across an island, and as music is playing, they make up their own little dance routines to the songs that are playing. Like, how do you not think that's lame? I'm sorry. I was sitting here like, y'all are the cool kids. This is what it means to be cool, because this is so whack. Like, I'm not joking. Like, because that was when Kodak came out, and like they were literally like, all three of them were like, oh my God, like, no, you gotta do this. And then like so I'm just sitting here like eating my wings and things. I'm like, okay, like, oh, whatever. Mind you, that's another thing that I like, now that I'm 23, these dudes were like 23, 24. We were like 16, 17. So that's a whole other topic of conversation. But I'm just over here looking at Tori. She's thinking this stuff is so cool. Like, she is eating them up. And she's like, they're over here teaching her gang signs. And she's like, oh my God, look, Samantha, I know how to throw this up. I know how to do this. And I'm like, girl, you really need to stop doing that. Like, you have no idea what it is that you're throwing up. These people don't even know what they're throwing up. Like, are you kidding me? You're really going to take, like, gang advice from them? Like, come on. I'm just sitting here. They're rolling up, singing, doing their praise dance, mimes, and whatever. And I'm just like, can we go now? Because at this point, like, I had finished my food. It was almost getting to be like an hour that we were just sitting there. It took them 10 years to roll up their weed because they were over here doing their dance routine. So I'm just like, there's no point in us being here. So they were like, oh, well, we got to go run a play. Do y'all want to come? And I'm like, absolutely no, I do not want to come. So I told Tori, I'm like, girl, let's go back to your house. Like, we don't need to run a play with them. Like, let's just go back to your house. So then at the time, I had another homegirl. We are going to call her Molly. So Molly didn't live that far, and she was having like a little kickback or whatever. So I was just like, hey, like, why don't we just go to Molly's house and like we could just chill, and then you can come back by yourself later. Like, that's what I wanted to do. Like, I wanted to go to Molly's house because, like, not for nothing, Molly's house was, like, really cool. Like, most of the time, it was people that I knew from our school just chilling at her house. It was, you know, a nice suburban home. So I just wanted to chill over there. So she was like, okay, like, while they make a play, we could just go to her house. And then when they're done, like, they'll let me know and we can come back. And I'm just like, I do not want to come back. But at the same time, this was when Tori had first started, you know. And she was like fiending. Like, it would literally, like, all you had to say was like, oh, you out? And she was just like, oh yeah, we have to go. Like, we have to go. We have to do this. We have to do, like, it was just, if you mentioned it, it was just like, we have to do it. So I was just like, okay, whatever. Like, we're going to go to Molly's house. So they drop us back off at Tori's house. And then I get my car and I take us back to Molly's crib. So we're all just chilling or whatever. And so then Chris messages Tori back and he was like, oh, hey, like, do y'all want to slide through? And so then she had brought it up to Molly because everybody else had left Molly's house at this point. So it was just the three of us. And so she had brought it up to Molly, and Molly was like, oh yeah, I know Chris. Like, I know Chris. And we were like, oh, really? I was confused because I was like, how do you know Chris? And she was like, oh, like, he knows my cousin, da-da-da-da, like, I know him. So I'm just like, okay, so now it's Molly and Tori. They both want to go meet up with Chris. So Molly was like, I can just take us, like, it's not that far. I can take us all over there. And I'm just like, I do not want to go. Like, I do not want to go, but peer pressure, I guess. Like, I don't know. At that time, like, I was going through some things too. Like, so I didn't want to be home. So I think that, like, also contributes to a lot of the reasons why I would stay in these ungood situations. So she was like, oh, I can take us over there. Like, I'll drive us over there. So I'm just like, oh my God. Okay, fine. So Molly, we all get in Molly's car and we go over to Chris's house again. So once we get to Chris's house, it's like Chris, his two guys, the two other guys that were already over there. And then it was another guy and then some random girl. So when we walked in, the random girl and the other guy, they were on their way out. And so once again, they're just blasting music, da-da-da, whatever. So they told us, like, to come upstairs because it was like the house and there was like a bonus room type of thing upstairs. So So they told us like, oh, just come upstairs. So I'm just like, oh my God, okay. So we go upstairs and we're gonna call this other dude, Chris's friend, we're gonna call him Bull. So Bull, apparently it was a love at first sight when he saw me. And ever since I walked upstairs, this man would not leave me alone. Like, I'm talking about on my body. Like, he would not leave me alone. So I'm kind of like occupied with this dude, and Molly and Tori are like talking to Chris and his other friends while they're, you know, like rolling up and everything. So this dude, Bull, was like, oh, how old are you? And I'm like, oh, I'm 16. I had to be like 16 or 17. And I was like, oh, I'm 17 or whatever. And he was like, oh, okay, so you're about to be 18, a predator. And I was like, yeah, I'm about to be 18 or whatever. I have a late birthday. And he was like, oh, you know, you don't look that young. You look real nice. You're really, really pretty. Has anybody ever told you that? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm not even going to lie. Like, he wasn't being like creepy. He was trying to be like smooth with it. But I'm with Armando, and like, you are not my vibe, sir. Like, you are probably like 24, 25, and you are already going bald. Like, you're not in my idea, and you're lying, because I'm 23 right now, and I could walk into a middle school and they would think I'm a student. So stop lying, sir. So he's just basically telling me, he was like, oh yeah, I have my own company. I got this, I got that. This is my house. This is my house. He's claiming this house as if this was some like MTV Cribs mansion. And I'm like, sir, your house does not have furniture. Why are you claiming this? So he's just like, oh yeah, you know, he's like, I would really like to get to know you. Why don't you put your number in my phone? Like, why don't you put your number in my phone? And I'm like, no, sir, like, no, I have a boyfriend. And he was like, well, obviously you don't like him that much, because why are you here? Da da da. He's doing this whole thing. Mind you, I'm over here trying to like, I don't know, I guess I was kind of entertaining it because I was answering his questions, but I'm not really paying attention to what Tori and Molly are doing. So at this point, Chris, Tori, and Molly, and Chris's friend, they're all, you know, sitting on the couch or whatever. And Chris pulls out some pills. And he pulls out the pill that rhymes with van, okay? So I was just like, here we go. So Tori was like, oh my God, I've never tried that before. Like, I've never tried one. And Molly was like, yeah, me either. I've never done this before. And he was like, y'all want to try one? I'm only going to give y'all one though. Like, I'm only going to give y'all one because I don't want anything to happen to y'all. Like, y'all going to be tripping, blah, blah, blah. And so Tori's like, I'm not going to be tripping. I'm not going to be tripping. And Molly was like, yeah, I've never done that, like, whatever. So he basically takes one, cuts it in half, and splits it between the two of them. And then he asked me, he was like, do you want one? And I was just like, no, sir. Like, no, thank you. And he was like, oh, all right. Like, he didn't press the issue. I never felt uncomfortable. I felt uncomfortable because, like, I don't know you people, but, like, they never gave off the vibe, like, you know, crazy or anything. So he didn't pressure it. He was just like, okay, like, whatever. So Tori takes hers, Molly takes hers, and I'm just looking at them like, what are y'all doing? Like, why are y'all taking this? And I'm not joking. To be honest, I feel like these were Skittles or something. Like, I cannot. What's about to happen, I don't believe that. I've never taken that before, so I don't know the after effects or like the mental effects it takes on you. But this couldn't be like, what, like, all right. So we're just chilling in these people's house, passing around, whatever, and we're listening to music because, you know, the music is super loud. And so basically I'm texting Armando this whole time, and I'm just like, oh, what are you doing? You know, he's out here cheating on me, so he's not responding very fast. So I'm just chilling, and his friend, not Chris, but Chris's friend, turns to Tori and was like, Tori, why is your friend so dry? Referring to me. And I'm just like, what do you mean I'm being dry? He was like, I mean, you need to loosen up. Like, you want a drink? You want something? And I'm like, no, I'm okay. And so Tori was like, yeah, let's get some drinks. Like, let's get some drinks. And Molly was like, yeah, let's get some. Like, let's get it going. And I'm just like, y'all have fun with that, because now I'm the designated adult here because y'all decided to pop some. and, you know, act crazy. So they start, you know, pouring some drinks or whatever. Mind you, we are all upstairs. They had like 3 different couches. So there's one couch this way, there's one couch that I'm sitting on, and there's the other couch. So Chris and his friend are sitting on this couch. Me and Bull are sitting on this couch, but like we're separated at this point. And then Molly and Tori are on the couch in front of me. And so like Tori's basically looking at me like, Samantha, like stop being bougie. Like she's like, stop being bougie, like stop, like whatever. So they start putting the music up, and so Molly was like, oh, I love this song. Like, this is my favorite twerk song. And then Chris was like, oh, you twerk? Like, twerk something. Chris was like, oh, you twerk something for me then. He was like, oh, you twerk something for me then. And she was like, okay. So Molly gets on the floor and starts, you know, twerking. And I'm just sitting here like, what in the world are you doing? So then he was like, so then Chris takes out a wad of cash, and he was like, oh, if I like what I see, then I'm gonna throw some. And then Tori was like, oh, you gonna throw some cash? You gonna throw some cash? And he was like, yeah, I'm gonna throw some cash. And so then Tori, I remember this so distinctly because Tori had just learned how to twerk. Like, this is so childish, but like Tori had just learned how to twerk. So, you know, when you just learn how to do, you know, a little jiggle here, like you're going to, you know, she was constantly doing it. Like me and her, we would be sitting in her house and she would just bust out twerking because she was like, look what I learned how to do. Like I sat in my mirror and I did this, da. So she was just like, you know, she had just learned how to do it. So she was ready to show what she's been practicing. So she was like, oh, you gonna throw some cash? She was like, I might, if you know, you do a little something. And so she gets up and she starts basically doing a whole little lap dance for this man, Chris. So she gets up and she's, you know, shaking her butt, you know, twerking on this man, this grown man. And he, no joke, starts throwing ones in the air and starts throwing it. So mind you, Molly's on the floor and Tori is, you know, on top of him. And so he's throwing money. And so then Bull turns to me and he was like, I can get you some cash too. Like, you know how to twerk? Do you know how to twerk? And I was like, no, I don't know how to twerk and I'm not gonna twerk here. Like, no. And so he was like, what? Like, don't be that way. Don't be dry. Like, it's just y'all. Like, it's just us. Like, see what you can do. So then I'm over here like, no, thank you. Like, I'm sitting here like, what's her name? New York. I'm just sitting on the bed, like, sitting on the couch like that while these girls are out here just shaking the thing for some change, okay? Because mind you, so like the song was over and they stopped dancing. And so Tori picks up the money. It is a whopping $17. $17 this man threw in the air, you know, whatever. And so Tori comes up to me with the money and she was like, oh my God, look. And I was like, oh, how much is it? And she was like, it's $17. Like, she was like, you know, you can get some, like, they got money. So like, why don't you, like, the next song, like, we could twerk some, like, we could do something for them or whatever, and they can give you some more money. And I'm just sitting here like, I know this girl is not talking about no $17 as if this man just threw like a rack on you for twerking some on him. Like, and mind you, that was another thing. Molly was on the floor too. I mean, not like this is like some sort of strip club, but at the same time, like, Molly was on the floor, you know, shaking her thing too. And you did not split that money with her. You took all 17 of them dollars and you took it for yourself. And so I'm just like, girl, I am not like, no ma'am, I'm not about to sit here and do this with you. And so she was like, oh my God, like, Samantha, stop being like that. Like, that's why you should have taken some of the van. And I'm like, I do not need to take that. And I was like, do you feel okay? And she was like, no, I mean, like, she's like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm just feeling it a little bit because, you know, I had and that and the drink, so, you know, I'm feeling good. Like, I'm feeling good. And so I'm looking at Molly and I'm like, Molly, are you okay? And she was just like, yeah, girl, I'm loose. Like, I'm good. Like, play the next song. So they play the next song and like they're over here dancing, like they are putting in work. Like hands on their knees, hands on the floor, like they're really going at it right now. And so I'm looking at the time and I'm just like, yeah, it's time for me to go. So I'm just like, Molly, are you ready? Like, because mind you, Molly drove, and I was like, I can drive us back to your house, and like I can go to my car because my car was at Molly's house. I was like, I can drive us back and I can drop off Tori, and I'm ready to go home. Like, because now on top of like this just being weird, I have to drop all y'all home, so let's go. And so then Molly's like, no, I'm not ready to go. I'm not ready to go. And so Bull, like, he like tried to touch my leg. He was like, you're ready to leave so early? Like, here, like, let me put my number in your phone so you can always like know that you have some place to come, like if you want to just chill. And I'm like, I do not want to chill with you, oh man, like, ew. So he's like doing that, and I'm like, no, I think we're ready. So I grab my stuff and I grab my bag and I grab Molly's keys, and I'm like, y'all, like, let's get going. So we're walking down the stairs, and Molly was like, no, like, I want to stay. And I'm like, Molly, let's go. Like, I'm not about to sit here and play with you. So Molly, I'm not joking, it was half of a van, and she was acting as if somebody, like, I don't know, like gave her like 3 or something. And so she's like, no, I'm ready to go. Like, I'm ready to do something. Like, we should go find something to do. Like, we need to find something to do. I'm not joking. And I'm talking about God as my witness, okay? We're walking downstairs and we go out front to the front of these people's houses, and she's just like, no, I'm ready to do something. I'm ready to do something crazy. I'm ready to do something crazy. And so Tori's like hyping her up. She's like, do something crazy. Like, do something crazy. I'm sitting in the driver, like in the car at this point. I'm sitting in the driver's side. I turn the car on and I have the door open. I'm like, y'all, let's go. Like, let's go. So then Molly hands her phone to Tori and she's like, record me doing this. She takes her pants off in front of these people's house while the 3 guys are sitting at the door watching this. She takes her pants off and she starts twerking. Mind you, she has underwear on, but like, why did you do this? She takes her pants off and she starts twerking in her underwear. And she's just like, and so Tori's like hyping this up. She's like, yes, do it, do it, do it, do it. And she's like literally twerking with no pants on in front of these people's house, in front of them. After that, I was like screaming. I'm like, let's go. Like, let's go. Like, I'm done, because I didn't find any of this amusing. I thought that this was like insane. Like, I was just like, are you joking right now? So I grabbed Molly's phone out of Tori's hand. I'm like, don't record her doing that. Like, don't record this. This is not anything to be recorded. Like, this is not anything to, like, this is not fun. Mind you, these dudes are like recording it too, and they're just laughing, and like, I know that they're making fun of her. So I'm just like, everybody get in the car. Done. Cut the cameras. Everybody get into this car right now. Like, so I grab Molly and I'm like, put your pants on. Like, so I tell Molly to get in the car, and then I tell Tori to get in the back seat or whatever. And so I'm driving us home, and then Molly was like, oh my God, that was so much fun. Like, I'm telling you, I'm off of it right now. I'm off of it right now. I've never done that before. It's so fun. Like, I would so do that again. And then Tori was like, yeah, girl, like, that was funny, and we got paid. We got paid. And I'm like, what movies do y'all watch? What shows are you watching that y'all think, like, what are you trying to emulate? Because this is not it. This is not it, even in the slightest bit. So I get back to Molly's house, and I drop Molly off, and I drop her car off or whatever. And I'm like, are you gonna be okay? Like, do you need anything? And she's like, yeah, girl, I'm good. I'm good. Like, we're straight. And so then I drop her off, and then I go to where I'm on my way to Tori's house. And I was like, Tori, like, don't do that. Like, we do not need to be going to these people's house. And we especially, like, you don't need to be taking that. And she was like, I didn't even feel anything. Like, this and like, I was feeling good, but like, it wasn't anything crazy. Like, it's whatever. And I'm just like, what? Like, okay. Drop Tori off and I go home. I take a shower, go to sleep. The next day, we're all just chilling again. Both of these females are talking about some, I don't even remember anything that happened yesterday. Like, I have no clue what happened yesterday. And I'm just like, that's what we're gonna do now? Coincidentally, none of y'all know what happened last night. Okay. That was their story and they are sticking to it. I don't know if they saw what they like recorded. I don't know if they were embarrassed. I don't know. But I'm telling you, like, for the longest time, it's probably to this day, I don't really talk to either of them like that. So probably to this day, they swore that they, like, that van just really took them out and they don't have any recollection of what they did last night. And I'm not joking. Y'all can ask my sister, because as soon as I got home, I called my sister and I was like, you will never believe what happened. Like, this is nuts. And anytime I try to bring up the situation to Tori, she would always say that I was over exaggerating the situation. And I'm like, I remember this vividly. I 100% remember this vividly. And this was just the start of what was to come with me and Tori's friendship when she started getting into it with these hood boys. That just took me back to a whole other place. But anyway, that's it to this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I want to know if y'all have toxic friends and if they like did any craziness like this, because like sometimes it's really annoying when you are constantly the mom, like, and I'm not even that mom personality. Like, if you want to do your thing, do your thing, but like, girl, keep your pants on. What are we doing? Like, what are we doing? So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.